conflict that has shaped the Middle East for over 7 decades, a struggle rooted in history, religion, and politics. The Israeli-Arab wars have defined borders, displaced millions, and rewritten history books. But how did it all begin? What triggered these wars? And what has been the human cost? Today, we take you through the timeline of conflicts between Israel and the Arab world. This is the story of war, resilience, and the fight for a homeland. To understand the Israeli-Arab wars, we must go back to the early 20th century. For centuries, the land that is today Israel and Palestine was part of the Ottoman Empire. But after World War I, the Ottomans lost control, and Britain took over the region, known then as Palestine, under the League of Nations mandate. This meant Britain was responsible for governing the land and determining its future. At the same time, the Zionist movement, which sought a Jewish homeland, was growing. Many Jewish people, facing persecution in Europe and Russia, wanted a safe place to settle. The British had issued the Balfour Declaration in 1917, promising to support the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. But there was a problem. Palestine was already home to a large Arab population, who strongly opposed the idea. Tensions grew between Jewish and Arab communities, leading to violence. By the 1930s and 1940s, these tensions had reached a boiling point. One may wonder, why Palestine? Why not create a Jewish homeland somewhere else? The answer lies in history and religion. For centuries, Jewish people had lived in exile, but their religious and cultural roots traced back to the ancient land of Israel, which included modern-day Palestine. The Zionist movement believed that the Jewish people had the right to return to their ancestral homeland. However, British officials also considered other locations, such as Uganda and Argentina, but none of these options were widely accepted by Jewish leaders. After World War II and the Holocaust, where 6 million Jewish people were murdered, international sympathy for Jewish refugees increased. Many sought to settle in Palestine, but Britain, facing resistance from Arab leaders, struggled to manage the situation. Eventually, the United Nations stepped in. In 1947, the United Nations proposed a plan to divide Palestine into 2 separate states, one Jewish and one Arab. Jerusalem was to be an international city belonging to neither side. Jewish leaders accepted the plan, but Arab leaders rejected it, viewing it as unfair. They argued that they had lived on the land for generations and saw the partition as an act of colonialism. On May 14, 1948, Israel declared independence. Within hours, 5 Arab nations, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq, invaded, aiming to destroy the new state. The war was brutal, with battles fought in cities, towns, and deserts. Thousands were killed, and over 700,000 Palestinian Arabs were displaced, creating a refugee crisis that continues to this day. By 1949, Israel had not only survived, but expanded its territory beyond what the UN had originally allocated. The war ended with armistice agreements, but peace was far from being achieved. Just a few years later, another war erupted. In 1956, Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal, cutting off Israeli and Western access. In response, Israel, backed by Britain and France, invaded the Sinai Peninsula and captured key areas. However, international pressure, especially from the US and Soviet Union, forced Israel to withdraw. While the war was brief, it set the stage for further conflicts between Israel and its Arab neighbors. In 1967, tensions boiled over again. After increasing threats from Egypt, Jordan, and Syria, Israel launched a preemptive strike. In just 6 days, Israel crushed the Arab armies and captured vast territories: the Sinai Peninsula, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights. Over 20,000 people lost their lives. The war reshaped the Middle East and left Palestinians under Israeli occupation, further fueling tensions. In 1973, on Yom Kippur, Egypt and Syria launched a surprise attack on Israel. Initially overwhelmed, Israel fought back and regained lost ground. The war ended with a ceasefire brokered by the US and Soviet Union. The conflict, which left over 20,000 dead, paved the way for the Camp David Accords, where Egypt became the first Arab country to recognize Israel in exchange for the return of the Sinai Peninsula. Over the decades, these wars have taken a devastating toll. More than 100,000 lives have been lost, and millions have been displaced. Palestinians remain stateless, and peace remains fragile. International organizations like the United Nations have made efforts to mediate, but deep divisions persist. Today, the world continues to watch as the conflict evolves, with new challenges and renewed hopes for peace. The Israeli-Arab wars are not just about land or politics. They are about people, families torn apart, generations raised in conflict, and a longing for peace. Understanding history is the first step toward a better future. What do you think it will take to end this conflict? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Help us keep history alive.